Hey everyone, welcome back to Iron Bay Research. This is episode 6. So just continuing the conversation. Last time we were talking about our first years in college, and now we were going to dive into a bit more of the apartment living, with your years, your sophomore, junior, and senior year,
Mm-hmm.
and how money affected those situations.
Sure.
So yeah,
Um, First off, so at this point, Bryce decided to go off to the military, as we talked a little bit about last time. So now, I was making that living situation decision amongst myself and four other friends. No, three other friends.
yeah,
Sorry, it was four of us total. My roommate, who was already my roommate freshman year, and then two good friends who lived down the hall and were also on the soccer team with us. We all wanted to live together. So we were searching for an apartment. That was kind of what you did. There wasn't really dorm life for anyone past freshman. I think there was maybe, but it's not something that we were really interested living on campus at that time.
yeah.
So,
Because freshman year
anyways,
you had to live on
yeah,
campus.
we did.
Yeah,
But in the search, it got a little bit stressful because at the school I went to in Radford, it was small. So there were sometimes more students than there were housing options available. So everyone warned us that you needed to start selecting an apartment around December for the next year.
wow.
So we were a little bit
So
late
like
to the game.
7, 8 months ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had started looking, I think, around February, March, and we started to get nervous. And when we decided that we wanted a four-bedroom, that actually helped our options because we found that people, I think, stuck to just one or two roommates because they didn't have that many people to get
Yeah.
along with. But because we were on the soccer team,
Yeah.
we all knew each other really well. So I think that actually opened our options. And we found when we did
Yeah.
start to look,
That makes a lot of
there was
sense.
no reason to stress. We had plenty of options. So, anyways, they did request a down payment. And at that time, this is where my loan money kind of rolled over because I had a plethora of money left over. I did not need that amount that Sally Mae had sent me. I think I had like 5K overage. So instead of putting that back to the loan, I used that as my down payment for the apartment so my parents didn't have to front that money.
Could we take a second? You
Yeah.
said that you didn't use all the money. Was the loan given to you, or was it kind of like a credit card draw, where if you used it, you would get charged, or did they give it to you and you were charged interest in the whole thing? Do you
So it was
know?
split. So they sent the amount that was due for each semester. So I think for the both semesters it was like 6,500 just for school
Okay.
for 15 credits.
Okay.
So they sent that, and then they sent me uh then they paid the living expenses, right?
Yeah.
um, Tuition, room and board, and then they paid me 5 extra grand for meal plan, books, anything.
Just
It was just a
miscellaneous.
sum lump. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So they sent what was needed by the school, and then they sent to me what I needed to live
And that money that you needed to live, that was like given to you, and they were charging you
to my
interest
bank
on that.
account. Yes,
Oh,
exactly.
okay. So
Yeah.
it's one of those. I guess if you're doing this now, maybe you like kind of plan it out and be like, hey, do I really need 5 grand, or do I
Exactly.
really only need like two or
Yeah,
three?
because you probably, I'm sure you could have requested the amount that you needed. And at that time, I had no idea
Yeah.
what my living expenses were going to be. So I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, just give me the
Probably
max.
better more than
Yeah,
like more
exactly.
than not. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's what I ended up doing.
Okay.
So I guess, yeah, bad because you are accruing interest on
Hmm.
it. So if I didn't need that, I probably shouldn't have had to use it. But
Yeah.
at that time, I don't think my parents could have afforded just a $2,500 down payment because
Yeah.
the apartment we lived in, they were all separate leases for each bedroom.
I
It wasn't
remember
like we
that.
had to come together. They knew that students were kind of on their own.
Yeah.
So each bedroom, they
Had a
looked at it as
lease.
a separate lease. Yeah.
Okay. And you guys
And
had a common area of the kitchen,
the
living room,
kitchen and
whatever.
living
Okay.
room,
Yeah.
yeah. But luckily, obviously, we didn't want to live with a random
Yeah.
stranger, so we all banded together. But we
Okay.
liked the apartment that we chose because it was fully furnished, so
Did
we
you
didn't
get
have to worry
to
about anything.
view the apartment
Yeah,
prior? You
we
did
did. Yep.
that same one, or like a
Um,
model one, where it's like, hey, just delay
I
it.
think like a model one. Yeah, I
Okay,
don't think we looked at that exact. No, no, we did. Yeah, they tell you which ones are available and you go see it. So yeah,
even when you were looking in April, when that might have had the previous tenants in it.
correct. Yeah.
Oh, they just got you in there.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
yeah.
Okay,
But actually, there was a hiccup because we were supposed to be on the first. Ours wasn't ready. I guess the previous people had trouble moving out, and
yeah.
we got concerned because we were there. The apartment people didn't realize we were on the soccer team, and that was our bad in communicating
So you need to get there
because we need to get
early.
there a month early
Okay,
than what normal students do. So we reached out a week in advance, and luckily they had one that was moved out, but they were like, "You're just gonna have to move all your crap again when your actual one's ready."
okay.
So we were in a temporary apartment for like 3 weeks for like
Really?
6.
Okay,
Yeah,
I didn't know
they
that.
let us do that. Yeah,
Okay,
which
okay,
was nice.
okay.
Yeah.
Did you like that one better than the other one, or?
That one was on the first floor, so yeah. In
Yeah,
hindsight,
that's funny.
carrying groceries up 3 floors was
Yeah, a little bit of
nuts.
pain in the
But
butt.
yeah.
So
But anyway, so once we moved into our apartment, money wise, you had to have certain names on electrical, water, and Wi-Fi.
yeah,
I can't remember, to be honest, how the I think water and Wi-Fi were included in our lease.
it probably was
Yeah,
because you
because
were in an
electricity
apartment
was the
building.
only thing that was separate.
Yeah.
So the first year, one of the girls, it wasn't me, they had volunteered to be sign up for it, and we would just
Okay.
pay them
Okay.
monthly. Yeah.
Okay.
And then that girl ended up leaving, and we got
Who was that?
here. And then
Oh, and here. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
And then she ended up finding another living situation closer to campus because, to be fair, we were a little far away. And then we accepted a stranger coming in for electricity. And I forget who else stepped up, one of us, but we realized it wasn't that big of a deal because everyone was on time with their payments. So,
Okay. And it was
but I
so it
will
was you,
say,
Kick, and Nier,
yeah.
and who else was the fourth?
Um, so the first year it was the sophomore year it was
Yeah.
Jasmine.
Okay. That's right. Yeah.
No, Jasmine was only there
Or
for
was it
2 years. It
Sierra?
was a Oh goodness, now I
Or
forget.
was it the other
No,
person?
I think Alexa was supposed to live with us. So actually, and she ended up not returning. So we
Yeah.
had a stranger our sophomore
That
year.
right. That tech
And then
person.
it
Yeah.
was Jasmine and Sierra with us the last two
That's right.
years.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So that's how. So we did actually end up having a stranger room with us, and we lucked out. She was great.
Okay.
She was a grad student, and she was on top of her stuff and awesome.
Yeah.
So it ended up being really good.
I wonder what we would have done if I'd stayed at college. If I would
I
have moved in a
know.
few. It's a little weird. Yeah.
So
Hmm.
money wise, I will say then it got interesting because, well, first of all, I'll say I think that's a quality we would really like to deliver to our kids because it starts at a young age if you have roommates contributing in any capacity, but especially when one person has to be on a utility and you have to contribute, you don't want to be the person that sucks and is always late and
Yeah.
stuff
Like you
like
shouldn't
that.
have to. Like you know it's due.
You know
Like
it's due. Like, don't make me ask for
people
it.
always make it weird. Like if it's due Friday, like can I get it Thursday? Because then I have to pay it. And to
Yeah,
say that you're like
exactly.
transferring money or wiring or getting a
Exactly.
check, it
Yeah.
takes time. Money takes time to move it around.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is a little inconsiderate. People like wait till like
The
the
last
day
minute.
of when you have to pay out. It's a
Yeah,
little rude.
for sure.
Yeah.
And we got the bill a week in advance, and the person, whoever was on it, would let us know the amount that we owed them, and we
Okay.
would try to do it ASAP. But
Okay.
back then, there weren't all these apps, so we had to give
Yeah,
them
like
a
Venmo and
cash
Cash
or a
App. Yeah,
check.
yeah.
Yeah. So now I'm sure it's way easier.
Oh yeah, 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 definitely. Yeah.
But
So
yeah, that's how we did it.
okay.
So, is there anything else you want to harp on there?
I
Because
mean, what about like groceries first time? Did you guys like split that, or
that
how'd
was
that go?
tricky. I will say that because we were all really close and on the soccer team, um, our roommate situation worked out really well. We
Hmm.
all got along and were very casual about the grocery situation and the eating. But we all also had, I think, campus meals, all four of us. So that
Okay.
was nice because we would just mostly eat up on campus and we
Okay.
would all kind of like share milk and
So it wasn't like a big deal. It
cereal
wasn't like
stuff.
someone
Yeah,
kept
we just
overeating.
keep track. Like, oh, I haven't bought milk in a while for the group, so let me go ahead and get the milk
Yeah.
this time. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
It's a little easier when you're like your friends.
yeah,
Yeah, it's not
exactly.
awkward.
It's
Yeah.
way easier because we all were on like the same exact schedule. And with soccer, to be fair, most of us were on the traveling team.
Hmm.
So we got food and per diem paid for us in those
When you traveled, when
situations.
you left.
And on game day all the
Yeah.
time. So we did get a lot of food paid for us also.
Okay.
So that was nice.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
nice. So it was pretty easy, not a lot of issues or just like
No,
conflicts.
I was very lucky. I had a great roommate situation.
Okay.
Very,
Yeah.
very good.
And I think that's rare.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean it could get difficult with
It
some
could.
things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it
Yeah.
could. So everyone contributed. We had no issues. Everyone was on the same page with timeliness and money.
Yeah.
So I would say at that point, because I got a plethora from the student loan stuff, I wasn't stressed about money at that time, but
Yeah.
I should have been
Should have been
because we'll
like
fast
realizing
forward
it's
to
coming.
I should have been realizing it's coming. I was in La La Land,
Okay.
just like, oh, I'm not graduating for another 2 or 3 years. I
Well, it's
can just
hard.
do
Four
whatever I
years
want.
is,
Yeah,
that'd be like us trying to think of something that's happening in 2028. You
yeah,
just don't do that. It's not
yeah,
natural.
exactly.
It's always so far away. And like when it comes to go shit.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
okay.
So then, so Bryce went off to basic that first semester of my sophomore year,
Yeah. Mhm.
and when he got back from basic, that's when he proposed to me on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I came back.
But
Yeah.
let's talk about that money wise. So, what were you, while you were in basic training, you were just not spending any money for 3 months and just saving it all up, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
How
Yeah.
did you view money at that
Yeah. So
point?
we can flick that over. Or like I guess kind of change gears. So yeah, I went to like a recruiter's office. I knew what branch I wanted to do. I wanted to do Army.
And this was in the summer in between,
Yeah, yeah, this,
after he stepped away from
yeah.
freshman year.
So
Yeah.
that summer, my dad and I went to the recruiter's office. We kind of figured out a plan. I knew I wanted to enlist in the Army, and I knew I wanted to try to do special forces, but I believe there was like an age restriction for a certain contract. And I know it's like some contracts are different, but I think you had to be like 21 for the specific contract that was available. And so I told them, I was like, okay, well, I'll wait and see what comes, because contracts that they come and go just depending on like what the
Availability.
yeah, well, what's
Yeah.
available. So it's not like you can pick whatever you want at a time. You have to wait and see.
I think that's interesting, just as an offshoot for anyone
Yeah.
interested in going in the military and thinks they have to choose a slot that the recruiter is like pushing you towards. You don't. You can wait until you have a
Yeah.
slot that comes available that you want.
And that's what we did. We said,
Which
well,
is really smart of you
yeah.
at that time. And do you think your dad really helped show you that, or do you think?
Yeah, I think it definitely helped, because my dad had done like 22 years or something like that in the Army too, so it definitely helped. And I think he was able to. The jobs are very vague. Like it'll tell you specialize something something, and it's like you don't know what you're actually doing. And so he was able to really help me, like, hey, like pick apart what they're doing. So it's like, really, hey, what do you want to do? And I said, hey, I want to be an infantry, and then I want to try for some special forces. That wouldn't work. And so we found out that I could become an Army Ranger. And then I told the recruiters, like, okay, well, we want to do this. Let me know when a contract comes available. And I remember I got a call from him. I can't remember his name. But he called me and said, hey, I've got one available, one coming in like October. I'm leaving October or something like that.
Were there any money bonuses involved at that time?
No,
And if there were, do you think that would have swayed your decision?
no. So usually they give the bonuses for the jobs that are not wanted. So um, like or the jobs that are really hard to entice you to go there. So this is about to go down a rabbit hole. But the jobs that everyone wants to apply for, like take it infantry, there's no bonuses because people want to enlist. They want to go do that
And they
job.
want to look cool.
Yeah,
That's like the dream, right?
yeah, and so
Actually fighting
yeah, there's no
in the
bonuses.
military. Yeah.
But for the jobs that really no one wants to do, like I remember if you were like in garbage, like literally a garbage man on base or whatever, sanitation, the bonuses were like 40 grand.
Wow,
because
yeah.
no one was doing them.
I could see that if you could get like a 3-year contract,
Yeah,
that might be worth it
yeah, and I
for
think
40K
like
when you're like 18 years old. You're
yeah.
out at
Oh
21.
yeah,
You're
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
It's huge. And then Cook was another one where it's a big bonus. I remember. And a lot of other times they'll give bonuses to jobs that are, like have a high fail rate, like EOD, which is like explosive ordnance. I think they're offering bonuses of like 50, 60 because it's like a 6 year training cycle. And their hope is that you sign up. And then the thing is, though, when you fail those specialized, um, they call your MOS. I don't know what that stands for. But it's MOS means like your job title, right? If you failed, then they could put you wherever you wanted. And so they kind of wanted a lot of people. So say they hired 100 recruits to become EOD guys, and 95% of them failed, or whatever it may be. Then instead of giving that person the bonus to go be a cook for like 60 grand, they'll just take him and make him go be a cook, and he doesn't get his EOD bonus, and they
Wow.
don't give him the bonus for being a cook. So
Wow.
it's like it's a little bit of a way for them to fudge the numbers. And hey, it's just part of the game. You have to
Yeah.
know what the
That's
rules
a
are.
that's an interesting point though, since we're going down a rabbit hole already. We'll get back to proposal.
Yeah, I think we got to go back and forth because now our paths are
Are
splitting.
splitting,
So I guess we
yeah.
can just do it like year by year
Yeah, we
instead of
will.
because we were going to do like let's talk about
Yeah.
your college and then
Yeah.
shift over what I was doing.
But
But it
there's
makes
a
sense.
situation, like you said, with the EOD example, someone going in and knowing that it's a high fail rate and running the risk of doing that,
Yeah.
putting in X amount of time and maybe not getting the reward, but you still put in the time and you don't get that time back. Similarly with college, I feel like
Ooh,
we
good
need to
point.
teach
Yeah.
18-year-olds to weigh risk versus reward.
Yeah.
Like here, you go under all this debt for 100K or more now
That's a really
for
good
4 years,
comparison. I never thought about
right?
that. Yeah.
And you're like, what if at the end I don't want to be an accountant? What if I don't want to be a nurse and now I have this degree and I
Yeah.
owe all this money and it's not what I want to do?
Well, especially the long tail
That's
ones like
scary.
medicine or law. I
Yeah.
mean, you're in it for 6 to 8 years before you even actually do the
Make
job.
money. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Before you even
Before you
know
even
if you
know
like,
if you want to do it. Like,
I
like
know.
I don't know. Like,
That's
like I think
scary.
we kind of
Yeah.
beat that hammer in the head. I think everyone knows. Like, I'm not anti.
We
I'm
haven't.
not. Yeah.
Here,
Yeah. I'm not.
you've beat it
I'm not
with our
anti-education. I
life,
just think the
but
college system is really set so that you fail and they make money off you. So it's one of
yeah,
those like you have to
it's
recognize
a
that it's a
business.
business and the counselor is a salesperson.
Yeah.
Like that's the situation you walk into. You are walking into a
Yeah.
sales office where they're going to sell you more school,
Mm-hmm.
higher credits, and they're going to tell you the same story. Oh, when you get out, you'll make more pay or
Yeah.
whatever the pitch
And
is.
when you're 17, 18,
Oh,
you
it
have
sounds
no
cool.
idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have
Oh, you
no
want to be a
idea.
doctor? Great. Yeah, we'll put you in this 4 year program, then this four
Yep,
year program,
sign
then
your
a
life
6 year
away.
program. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah. But it's funny, like, I never thought about that's the same. You can call it abuse. I mean, it's not really abuse, it's just taking advantage of the
Taking
situation.
advantage
But
for
that
sure.
that thought process is the same that was happening with like the
Military recruiting.
specialized recruiting when they try to make you go for this really hard one, knowing that 90% of you are gonna
They'll do
fail
anything
and you
to
get
not
paid.
pay you your bonus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So wow, I'd never put two and two
Yeah.
together like that. That's actually
But I
really
feel
smart.
like just with anything, college, and career wise, at least career wise, if you just go straight into working instead of college, you're at least making money and not really losing time. You're gaining experience. Where in college, you're not. You're gaining social experiences and education experiences. It's definitely not all bad for sure,
Yeah.
but I just think at such a young age, um, it's really difficult to know. And I've always it if I could go back, I don't want to say I regret it at all because everything has led us up to this
Oh
point.
yeah, yeah.
But in hindsight, you'd like to think that people that work for a little bit and end up doing college around 23 to 26 years old are better off mentally and financially because they can probably pay their way through. They know what their interests are now because they've been
Yeah.
working for 5-ish years out of high school. I
Yeah.
just think that's a lot better track to do
Yeah.
rather than you have to go to college at 18. It's like, do you? I mean, even if we're in college and we're living with our parents anyways, why don't we just live with our parents and work for 5 years until we figure it out?
Maybe even
Yeah.
like a year or maybe even doing like let's say, hey, you want to be a nurse.
Yeah.
Maybe on your first, because your first 2 years are your associates, it's
Yeah,
always the
you could
same.
do a
Maybe,
volunteer thing.
or not even that, but just like work part time for like just pick a job. Doesn't have to do
Yeah.
anything, just at the hospital. And I think that you'll just be hanging around it enough to where
Yeah.
you'll get a general idea of what really is going
Yeah, I
on.
have
You know
so
what I
many
mean?
people that I've heard who do that, and they become nurses because they're nurturing and they think that's what they want to do. They really want to help people.
And
It's
they realize like,
passionate.
oh,
That's
everyone here
cool.
is
But they
miserable.
get into the ER and they're like, I hate it. I
Yeah,
don't want to be in a hospital anymore.
yeah.
And you're like what? You owe all this money and you just wasted like 6 years of your
Yeah.
life?
Because
Like,
maybe they don't tell you that, like, oh,
gosh.
everyone in nursing,
Yeah.
it might be like a depressing setting.
Yeah,
Or maybe if you're an
sure.
accountant, you don't realize that, oh, everyone else as an accountant might be somewhat introverted, and
Yeah.
it's not like you don't get those little nuances of the work field
Right.
until you're there. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I think that would be a good
Yeah.
idea.
And I'll just segue really quick to get back to Radford and my college
Mhm.
experiences. They make you choose a major sophomore year. You have to declare, or else they're like, "What?" Because you need to start getting into your major
Yeah.
classes,
But you
right?
could swap that too later
You
on.
can swap, but it does kind of screw with
Yeah. Well,
how
I
the
think,
timing of your graduation and the
yeah,
credits and everything.
I think
But
it messes you up as long as your credits don't like contribute to the other things. So if you're doing something similar, like
yeah,
I went from business management to finance and accounting, and a lot of those low level like hundreds and 200 level classes did count towards the other.
yeah,
But I think if you went from like business management to medical, then yeah, a lot of
yeah.
those extra classes wouldn't transfer over.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
that's why they kind of want you declared
Yeah.
before you're halfway through
Yeah.
so that you can be on track to graduate after 4 years. So
Yeah.
I was getting a lot of pressure. Obviously, I had to declare. I had gone in being a history major just because I really liked history, but I realized that it was just a lot of writing and curating and it's not something I was really passionate to do career wise. So it's like
Yeah.
I like it and it's enjoyable and the classes are enjoyable
Yeah.
and I'm breezing through it, but it's not really something I see myself like doing.
Yeah.
So I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I basically asked my advisor, I was like, what are the two jack of all trades
Yeah, it's not a bad
something I
idea.
could get away
Yeah.
with because I have no idea. And it was something like the international relations or whatever, and then
Oh yeah.
communications. But my advisor was like, the international one's a little bit tricky. People don't really know what that is or how to view it. So she was like, everyone's familiar with communications and you can just focus in something.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. I did
Yeah.
communications and I focused in public relations because I liked people.
And it
She
ended up being a
said,
great choice too.
yeah, which
Yeah.
is hilarious. We'll get to that later. It ended up being like kind of everyone talks crap about communications as a degree because
Yeah.
they're like, that's not specializing in anything. And then hilariously, fast forward 7 years later, I end up doing what I majored in. So we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
But
Well, I think not specializing is almost making your job search anti-fragile. And
it was
yeah, because
like
like
I could apply for anything under the sun. And we'll talk about that
yeah.
later episodes. I had no issues finding a job after college when everyone told me because of my degree I was going to have a real.
Well, who are the ones telling
And it
you?
was
People that were
opposite.
that's still working at
Yeah,
college. That's what I'm
yeah,
saying. You
yeah,
have to like take it with a grain of
exactly.
salt because it's
For
like
sure.
people that hey, I'm gonna be the best. I know how to make the widget, right?
Yeah,
Whatever, in a degree in something
yeah,
very specialized.
yeah,
But then guess what? In 4 to 6 years, that job might be relevant. I
yeah.
mean, it's like a good example is it is like a business quote unrelated to this, but it's like you didn't want to be like a horse trainer when the Model T Ford came out.
Oh,
You know what
right,
I mean? It
sure.
was someone
Yeah,
special, and like that
yeah.
seems like a really mundane and stupid comment, but it's real. I mean, think about coding, right? You saw all these coding classes where people were taking their
And
kids,
you were
and they're
convinced that that's like the money
the
maker,
yeah,
that
but
you
oh,
had
we'll
to
teach
be
him
a coder.
coding, and then he'll learn coding, and then 10 years he'll be a great coder and make money. Well, guess what? Job is now almost irrelevant because of AI, and this is like today in the
It,
2024, it's coding.
That's wild.
Like
Yeah, you're right.
it's
I
just
didn't. Everyone was pushing me. They were like, they need women in coding. I had a lady on my soccer team who she was a
oh,
vigilant.
remember that?
Yeah, and she was like, I almost went that route because I was at a
I
crossroads,
I think
and
you would have been crushed.
it's wild to
It's
think
it's
that.
weird. Like the
Yeah,
job searches now is everyone was pushing towards
yeah,
IT because that made money. But
yeah,
the problem is now all those jobs are going overseas and now they're getting taken over by AI.
yeah,
And now the jobs that aren't getting taken over are the ones that are more more well-rounded, like the communications major, whatever it may be, because they know, hey, as long as you can learn something, we'll just teach you on site.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't know what we were talking
So in
about.
the end,
Yeah,
I'll just
yeah,
cap that up with we ended up realizing through life and experience is education was great as a background. You obviously need to be familiar with
yeah,
things that you're speaking on, especially if it's a specialty like nursing, accounting, yada yada.
yeah.
Obviously you need that training. We're not knocking that anyway. But I will say that it's the person, right?
Oh yeah,
I think that yeah, the piece of paper helps you, but you just need to get in there and really show who you're about, and the opportunities will come.
yeah. I think people think you get a degree, you're entitled to a job, which is just the wrong way to look at it.
No,
It's an enhancement.
it is.
So
Yeah,
it's like if you're a shitty person and a shitty worker, having a degree isn't going to
isn't
help
gonna
you.
help you at all. Yeah,
It just it's not because it's just
right,
like oh I've got everybody like oh I've got a degree. Why don't I have my job?
right.
Where's my job?
Yeah,
Well, cool, you got this thing, but is it relevant? You know what I
yeah.
mean? So, anyways, yeah,
Anyways,
that's
yeah. So just that to cap it
yeah.
off, sure.
Anyways,
Um,
um,
we can go back to. Did you want to go back to Radford, and we'll stop before.
let's go back to the recruiting because I think we kind of shifted off.
Okay.
Because I didn't finish
Oh
that.
yeah, so
Yeah,
you
yeah.
went to the military, and I was asking you about making money. Like that was your first career, basic training, and
Yeah, so that
yeah,
was my first on paper career because I had worked under a table a
yeah,
lot, and so I got a call from the recruiter. He said, "Hey, a ranger slot's open, no bonuses." I remember I tried to say, "Was there anything else that had bonuses?" And he told me, "He's like, do you want it or not?" I was like, "Yeah."
yeah.
And so I think that was like midsummer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in the meantime, I was going
Of
to
2012.
yeah, 2012. I did do something though. In the meantime, I was going to community college because I remember,
Oh yeah, you did
yeah,
do Nova. I forgot.
I did a community college because when you get into the military, you start out as it's called E1. It's like the lowest level private, and then they have a private like E2, so called private, but just like a higher rank, and then they have an E3, which is a private first class, and I also have specialist if you enlist with a college degree. I didn't have the degree, but I had 15.
Enough credits to
It was
get you to
yeah,
E3.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
I had 30 credits from the first year,
Mm-hmm.
but I think I was a little bit shy. And so I did college courses to bump it up to like 36 or whatever it was.
That way you could get the maximum credit.
Yeah, and so I was able to enlist as a PFC, which is an E3 or private first class, and the pay was like an extra $200 a month, which is pretty significant.
Yeah, sure.
Because you start out and you do training and you don't rank up until you get to your unit. And I was for the job I enlisted for, I was going to be in training for close to like 9 months.
Mm-hmm.
And so the pay you were making for 9 months, there was no chance for advancement or,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
the details might not be
that makes
exact,
sense.
but
So
that's about
any
right.
little boost you could do
Yeah. Yeah.
to
And
help you
so,
did
I think the pay was like 15 or $1,600 a month, and then obviously like my housing and food was paid
was
for,
for
even though it's
yeah
pretty crappy.
yeah
But then yeah, I remember I can't remember. Yeah, I said bye to you, and you went back to college for your sophomore year,
yeah.
and then I stayed back home, and then I remember my mom dropped me off at the recruiter's office, and then the recruit person took a bus, took some of us, like 4 or 5 of us, to a hotel in Baltimore where we stayed the night. And then from there, they flew us down to Fort Benning, Georgia, where I started. They call it TRADOC or the training something, but it's called TRADOC,
Mm-hmm.
and that's they're referring to like your training environment, and that's what I went to. Well, the first 2 weeks is they start you out. You're getting all your shots. Well, actually, I don't know. You want to talk about this another episode? This is like a long chat.
I mean, I don't know why you need to go. It's not money related, so you don't need to go
Oh
into
yeah,
that
yeah,
type of
yeah, yeah, yeah.
detail.
This is something else. So
Just skip on.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I really didn't start getting my money. Well, I was getting my paychecks, but I didn't have a phone or anything to talk to you until I got out of basic.
Yeah,
But I can't remember. Did we share? No, because we didn't get married until
we
later.
didn't.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna talk about. Is
Okay.
I'm trying to hurry.
Okay. Yeah. So we
These
can fast forward to us
convos. Yeah.
getting married. Yeah.
But I was asking though, which you still haven't answered.
Oh,
Your
whoops.
thoughts about I've asked this 3 times now. Your
Yeah.
thoughts on the money you were making during basic. Did you even think about money, or were you like,
Oh
let me
yeah,
just get
I thought it was a
straight?
lot of money because it was like the most money I ever seen at this time.
Okay.
I was hustling a little bit to make more while basic. So these are funny stories. So one thing you had to do in basic is called like fire guard. They're just training you to always like have someone be awake. And so they'd always have like a two-man shift and you would rotate throughout the week. So usually without getting into details, usually every other night you had to be up for about an hour or so in the middle of the night, just
Hmm.
standing guard over your barracks room. And a lot of people they wanted to get sleep. They're all pretty tired, and so I would buy people's fire shifts on them. I'd be like, "Hey, if you want to go to bed, I'll do your shift for $10."
Oh.
And yeah, so I
To
did
stay extra up for how many more hours?
like an hour or two.
Oh,
If
okay.
you were lucky, you could get like someone else's. So you were just kind of like selling sleep for money.
Uh,
Um, so yeah, I did that, and then another thing we would do is people they like snacking because like they give you food, but you're also burning a lot of calories.
it like
People
snacks.
like snacks, and so they feed you, and they're not like starving you at this point, but they starve
But
you
you're
later.
doing a lot of workout.
Yeah, but you're burning a lot of calories because people just want
Yeah.
more food, and so we had this thing called a gut truck, which say we were going to the range and shooting. Occasionally, this truck would come that would sell snacks. The drill sergeants would let you go buy stuff, but you couldn't bring it back to the barracks.
Okay.
And so I
So
would,
you could just eat it there.
yeah, but I would always buy, like, I was kind of hustling. I always try to buy more and then sneak them back into the barracks and sell them later. And you could sell like a bag of M&Ms for like $20.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
like no joke.
And so were you successful?
Yeah,
Did
yeah.
you get caught ever with your
So
snacks?
I never got caught, but there was one time when the drill sergeants caught someone else doing it. And so
Okay.
we were in the field, and this is a quick story, but you'll like it, is they made everyone take up all their gear and they started like patting us down, like trying to find the snacks. And they started finding people snacks and they were smoking us.
Why? I just like so funny. Like, why were they so focused on you guys having snacks? Like, who
Because
cares?
it's all about the rules. It doesn't
Okay.
matter what the rule is, just follow the rules.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
And so they started finding people that had like, snacks hidden in their pockets and their shirts and their bags. But I had intelligently, I had done something really cool. So we had this Camelback to have water to hydrate. So I'd put in my snacks in a plastic bag, sealed it, and then I put it inside the Camelback. And I had a piece of the corner of the bag.
Did you also have water in it, or?
I'll get there.
Oh,
I had a piece of the bag folded out of the cap. So when I screwed it on, the twisting cap of the Camelback, the bag, was holding the bag in the middle, and I filled it with water. So when you squished the bag, the candy was floating inside, and you couldn't actually feel it.
oh,
And
okay.
I filled it up all the way, so but they were squishing it.
Oh, so they knew people were doing that.
I don't know, but I'd done it before. Thank God I
Okay.
did because I didn't find mine. So they were squishing it, and all they felt was that this jug of water, and they couldn't find it. But they found everyone else's, and I came back, and I had a pretty good stash. So
So was that a good money making thing
yeah,
for you?
yeah,
Because
it was a
everyone had
good
their
day. Yeah,
snacks
everyone
still.
else had their supplies cleaned out, so I was just yeah, I had it unlocked. But long story short, between the pay, I think doing all the side hustles, I came back of like 600, $700 in cash
Dang, that's awesome.
that I
Yeah.
had.
And we
But
won't ask how much you spent on the ring. I still don't know, but I'm sure it was at least half your basic pay.
I was very broke. Yeah, we weren't making a lot of money. So, uh,
But Bryce still bought me a gorgeous ring, so that
yeah,
was very
yeah.
thoughtful.
So in terms of like money related,
Mhm.
that was my first experience. I think it was almost a skewed relationship too because I also wasn't spending anything.
Yeah,
So I guess my first experience with money, it wasn't normal because you were just getting it and not even just not able to spend it. So
sure.
it's not like it was going
Yeah,
out to overspend. You were just watching it go like, oh, this is a lot of money. But
yeah.
I do remember,
Because at that time you're only 19, so this
yeah,
is only you're still a
yeah,
teenager.
like I knew money was important. And I knew
Yeah,
more was good. But that
yeah,
was like kind of the extent of it.
yeah.
I do remember we were
Straight it
introduced to
up
something
backwards.
called like retirement plan at Basic where they said, "Hey,
Oh,
yeah, do you want to sign up for
okay.
something called the ESP?" And
Oh yeah, I
it
keep
was
up
like
with
the
that.
something savings plan to where essentially it was like a Roth.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I remember I'm trying to remember correctly, but I'm pretty sure you could put, and I don't remember if it was like a Roth or some sort of 401k, but you could put damn near like 90% of your pay in it.
I
And
remember you did, didn't you? Put a lot because when we got out, you
I
had
put
like a
like
good
30 or
amount, right?
40% for the first year. I remember I stacked because I wasn't spending it, but I never get an option to spend money.
Yeah.
And me and me and a buddy, I can't remember who it was. I remember we were like just like drooling, like, oh, if I put 90% of my pay for 20 years, this will be like $400,000. Yeah, so we just like
Yeah.
we were aware of it, but we didn't really know the mechanics of
Yeah.
it to make it like make sense. But we knew more was good.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, that's
So
fair. So,
very
before
rudimentary.
we wrap this up, we went down a massive rabbit hole this
Yeah,
episode, but I think it's important because now we're about to fly free into
yeah,
um we have so much to unpack once I get out of college and once we tag back in.
yeah.
But anyways, I do want to end this episode with as a guy, how do you view spending money on a ring? So is it something where you're like your mind's clouded, you're like, I love this person, I don't care, I'm just whatever I can afford, as nice as I can afford? Or did you actually go like, this is my budget. I don't really care to spend over XYZ. Like, what was your view on that at that time? Because I know
Well, that's a good question.
your mom had some influence, which I appreciate, and Bryce's mom has very good taste. So
So
I'm sure she was in the picture a little
no,
bit.
I know.
Oh, she wasn't.
I picked the ring out myself.
No, I know.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just
yeah.
saying, money wise, was your mom saying, "Oh, you should probably
I don't.
spend X
I
amount,"
don't think
or
we
she
even.
was just there for support?
I don't think we had that talk at all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you just in your mind were like, let's see what I can afford there.
Yeah,
That's
I don't
nice.
remember really talking to my mom about. I don't remember that. I don't remember that conversation happened.
Okay.
But I do remember.
Because I know she went to the PX with you to get the ring.
Yeah, yeah, but I remember like I had selected it like.
Because your mom is really good with like the 3 C's, the cut, clarity.
Yeah, but I remember like picking it myself. Like I was like I remember I was very adamant about that one. So it wasn't really a.
And luckily it was in your budget. Is just that's how you.
Yeah, yeah.
You just went to see what you liked, and hopefully you could.
Yeah, I didn't have like I had to be under his budget. It was just like it was more art than science. Like I didn't know.
So it was more emotional than it was.
I didn't know what my budget was.
Yeah.
But I also didn't have a lot of money, and so it was just kind of like, well,
yeah,
it can't go over this number because you know.
And I guess maybe to be fair, because you were going to be in training for so much longer after that, you didn't really have a rent coming due that was a concern for you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
because everything was taken care of you, although crappy as it wasn't.
Yeah,
standard.
so I don't like I didn't have like a set budget. I know I didn't like even consider like financing. I just knew like, well, I've got this money in my pocket. Yeah, can't go over that, and so.
So I think to wrap that up, the common theme is here. We were talking several episodes about 14-year-olds not being able to analyze money very well, but thinking more is good.
Yeah.
We're still here 5 years later at almost 20, and we still don't know how to budget.
Yeah.
So I guess.
But more is good is not a wrong answer.
No, that's not wrong. Like, you're getting there. It's
spend more.
Yeah.
No, like make more, spend less.
So we're getting into how. At what age your view on money evolves and how you start to analyze it.
I think it was definitely after training when we can go spend.
Yeah.
Because then you started having money coming in, money coming out.
Yeah.
Because then we bought the car. But we can end it here. So I guess the recap is at this point in time, if you're following like a timeline, it's like your sophomore year in college and I'm in the middle of training.
And Bryce and I are engaged. We just got engaged.
Yeah, and we can talk a little bit next time. So. But other than that, no, thanks for joining, and we will see you guys on the next episode.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for watching. If you liked this and want more, subscribe or comment below. We'll see you here next time on Iron Bay Research. Bryce and Kara, signing out.